In the first part, we zeroed in on the early 90s era of Full Moon, when Charles Band nailed down the formula and the studio's wild, unmistakable identity took shape. This time, we're casting a wider net. The films here span the entire Full Moon timeline, reaching back into the Empire Pictures days before the name even existed, touching on early experiments, dependable mid-period staples, and some downright bizarre later entries. Each one captures a different snapshot of how Band tackled direct-to-video filmmaking. Some helped define the classic Full Moon vibe, others took beloved franchises in bold new directions, and a few are here simply because the company gave itself permission to get weird. You'll see science fiction crashing into horror, gothic fantasy rubbing shoulders with slapstick comedy, and crossover concepts that somehow actually made it to screen. Here are 10 more essential Full Moon movies, pulled from across the label's history. Proof that the same scrappy, imaginative core philosophy could twist into wildly different forms and still feel instantly, undeniably Full Moon. Trancers, 1984. Trancers is a sci-fi action film directed by Charles Band, released in 1984. The film combines elements of time travel, noir, and horror, creating a unique narrative that has garnered a cult following. Set in a dystopian future, the story follows Jack Death, played by Tim Thomerson, a hard-boiled cop tasked with eliminating a new breed of criminals known as Trancers. The film begins with Jack Death being sent back in time to the year 1985 to stop the nefarious plan of a sinister criminal named Whistler, portrayed by Michael Stefani. Whistler has the ability to turn people into zombie-like creatures called Trancers, who do his bidding. To combat this threat, Jack must inhabit the body of his ancestor, allowing him to blend into the past while pursuing his target. As Jack navigates the challenges of the 1980s, he encounters a vibrant cast of characters, including a tough-as-nails bartender named Lena, played by Helen Hunt. Their chemistry adds depth to the story as they work together to thwart Whistler's plans. The film effectively mixes action, humor, and science fiction, creating an engaging experience for viewers. The production design reflects the gritty aesthetics of both the future and the past, while the special effects, typical of low-budget films of the era, contribute to its charm. With a runtime of 78 minutes, Trancers packs a lot of excitement into its brief duration, offering a fast-paced narrative that keeps audiences entertained. Trancers explores themes of identity, morality, and the consequences of one's actions across time. Jack Death embodies the classic noir hero, tough, cynical, yet ultimately driven by a sense of justice. As you watch Trancers, expect a wild ride filled with action, humor, and a bit of existential pondering, all set against the backdrop of a uniquely crafted sci-fi world. From Beyond, 1986. From Beyond is Stuart Gordon and Brian Usna pushing Lovecraftian horror to extremes. Jeffrey Combs returns, but this time as a man consumed by the Resonator, a machine that awakens unseen dimensions and grotesque entities just beyond human perception. Barbara Crampton anchors the narrative with intelligence and emotional depth, her character a psychiatrist whose curiosity and desire blur ethical lines. The creature design is outrageously imaginative. Slime-coated appendages, pulsating forms, and impossible anatomies suggest entire unseen ecosystems overlapping our world. Gordon's camera work mirrors the character's altered perceptions, with bold colors, kinetic framing, and surreal set pieces that heighten disorientation. Themes of obsession, addiction, and psychosexual tension intensify as the film progresses, culminating in a finale where transformations, creatures, and chaos collide. From Beyond is uncompromising and audacious, a film that earned its cult following by daring to challenge boundaries, blending visceral horror, psychological depth, and technical ingenuity in a way that remains striking even decades later. Puppet Master, 1989. Small-scale horror can feel enormous when it's executed with care, and Puppet Master proves it. Charles Band crafted a world where tiny puppets carry out deadly justice, hunting psychics in a foggy coastal hotel. The premise is deliciously pulpy. World War II German occult experiments, ancient Egyptian magic, and a puppeteer who chooses death over capture, leaving his creations to continue his work. Each puppet has its own personality. Blade's knives, Pinhead's brute strength, and Leech Woman's grotesque utility, all brought to life with meticulous stop-motion and puppetry. The seaside hotel, misted and empty, adds Gothic atmosphere that masks its budgetary limitations, while Richard Band's synth score pulses like the puppets themselves. Paul Le Mat anchors the human side with quiet gravitas, but the real tension always belongs to the miniatures. It's inventive, mean-spirited in just the right way, and endlessly replayable. Video store aisles became battlefields of taste, and Puppet Master stood out as something handcrafted in a sea of formulaic horror. 11 sequels later, the tiny killers have endured, proving that imagination, clever design, and a few well-executed gags can outshine a million-dollar studio production. Robot Jocks, 1989. Giant robot battles, Cold War allegory, and post-apocalyptic spectacle collide in Stuart Gordon's Robot Jocks. In a future where nations settle disputes through televised mech duels, pilots, known as jocks, fight for national honor. Gary Graham stars as Achilles, the American champion facing a Soviet rival, delivering performances that lend weight to otherwise outlandish action. The stop-motion battles dominate the screen, each punch and missile strike feeling physically heavy, a tactile realism absent from early CGI. Beyond the spectacle, Gordon takes the premise seriously, exploring the moral implications of state-sponsored violence and the toll of turning humans into living weapons. The industrial production design and practical sets give the world texture, creating a believable dystopia. Pacing lags between the robot duels, but each battle is meticulously crafted, thrilling in scope and execution. Robot Jocks captivated young audiences who would tape the battles off cable and watch them repeatedly, and it stands as an earnest, imaginative exploration of spectacle and human drama wrapped in a sci-fi shell. Meridian, 1990. Meridian drifts into Gothic romance, a curiosity in Full Moon's library that feels like a post-midnight fairy tale. Sherilyn Fenn plays an American artist who inherits her family's Italian castle, only to discover a cursed aristocrat who transforms into a beast each night. This is Full Moon at its most adult, replacing latex monsters with candlelit tension, erotic undercurrents, and slow-burning seduction. The film's greatest strength is its visual authenticity. Real stone corridors, shadowed courtyards, and decaying architecture give a lived-in, romantic texture rarely seen in direct-to-video productions. Transformation effects are surreal, blending makeup and optical illusions to create something dreamlike rather than grotesque. Fenn's performance grounds the story in vulnerability and humanity, while the supporting cast treats the melodrama with serious commitment. The pacing is deliberate, more a slow dance than a sprint, rewarding viewers who value atmosphere over jump scares. It found a niche among renters, seeking horror infused with mood, romance, and nuance, with a score that amplifies its melancholy fairy tale tone. Meridian remains a rare example of Band's willingness to explore personal, idiosyncratic visions amid the grind of direct-to-video production. Bad Channels, 1992. Bad Channels is Full Moon's embrace of absurdity, a wild postmodern blend of horror, comedy, and music video experimentation. An alien DJ hijacks a local radio station, shrinking listeners and trapping them in jars while broadcasting hypnotic signals. The premise is intentionally ridiculous, and the film leans fully into it, delivering a mix of comedy, grotesque antics, and musical interludes from obscure bands. Forced perspective, miniature sets, and practical effects sell the shrunken characters convincingly, while Martha Quinn's cameo as herself adds pop-cultural authenticity. The tone is improvisational, playful, and unafraid of self-parody, prioritizing weird humor over conventional scares. Later crossovers with Dollman exemplify Full Moon's experimental universe building, where creativity and intertextual fun outweighed narrative cohesion. For VHS renters, Bad Channels was an invitation to embrace the strange, an offbeat experiment that thrived precisely because it dared to be unconventional, a carnival of imagination and chaos under a late-night cable sky. Bloodstone Subspecies 2, 1993. Bloodstone Subspecies 2, directed by Ted Nicolau, continues the dark vampire saga started in the original Subspecies film. Released in 1993, this sequel follows the terrifying vampire Radu Vladislas, played by Anders Hove, as he grows more powerful and increasingly malevolent. The story picks up after Radu's brutal attack on a group of friends in Romania. Michelle, portrayed by Melanie Shatner, is one of the few survivors, and she remains haunted by the horrors she witnessed. As Radu seeks to reclaim a mystical bloodstone that amplifies his powers and strengthens his control over others, Michelle and her allies must confront not only him, but the supernatural dangers that come with such dark magic. What makes this film stand out is its atmosphere. Nicolau leans into the Gothic Romanian setting, using shadowy castles, fog-filled forests, and eerie candlelit interiors to create a tense and immersive environment. The practical effects, especially Radu's monstrous transformations and the Bloodstone's mystical energy, highlight the series' commitment to inventive, hands-on horror. The film also explores themes of power, seduction, and survival. Radu is not just a monster. He embodies the tragic, almost hypnotic allure of vampirism, making him both fascinating and terrifying. Michelle's struggle against him provides an emotional core, giving viewers someone to root for amid the dark, supernatural chaos. While it received mixed reviews upon release, Bloodstone Subspecies 2 has earned a cult following for its campy charm, atmospheric storytelling, and commitment to the vampire mythos. Anders Hove's performance as Radu, intense and unrelenting, remains a highlight of the film. By the end, the film delivers a blend of horror, dark fantasy, and gothic romance, immersing viewers in a shadowy world where the line between life and death is blurred, and death, human and monster, is chillingly blurred. Dollman vs. Demonic Toys, 1993. Full Moon's first major crossover fused Dollman, Demonic Toys, and Bad Channels into a compact, action-packed spectacle just over 70 minutes long. Tim Thomerson returns as the 13-inch cop from another dimension, now partnered with the shrunken nurse from Bad Channels to battle malevolent toys in abandoned warehouses. The premise is transparently commercial. Why cultivate three separate fan bases when you can combine them? Yet the collisions of franchises generate genuine fun. Thomerson's gruff charisma grounds absurdity, lending authority to puppet battles and miniature chaos. Baby Oopsie Daisy, Jack Attack, and Grizzly Teddy retain the unsettling charm that made them memorable in their original appearances. Practical effects dominate, with oversized props and miniature sets convincingly establishing scale. The short runtime keeps the story moving relentlessly, delivering action and creature encounters without narrative filler. It's unapologetically a cash-in, but also delivers exactly what fans wanted: fan service, crossover chaos, and Full Moon's hallmark playful inventiveness. For video store regulars, this was a small-scale spectacle done right, a celebration of shared universe imagination that feels both efficient and audacious, a miniature thrill ride packed with energy, menace, and personality. Head of the Family, 1996. Head of the Family, directed by Charles Band in 1996, is a strange mix of horror, dark comedy, and B-movie absurdity. The story follows a scheming couple who stumble onto the Stackpool family, a clan of deformed siblings led by the grotesquely oversized head, Myron. Possessing advanced intelligence and telepathic powers, Myron manipulates his family and those unfortunate enough to cross their path. The film embraces its camp with glee, leaning into outrageous characters, exaggerated scenarios, and a tongue-in-cheek tone. While Myron is the focal point, a giant head with genius-level intellect, the other siblings contribute to the film's bizarre humor and unsettling atmosphere. It's part horror, part exploitation comedy, and fully aware of its own outrageousness. Instead of straight scares, Head of the Family entertains through its sheer weirdness, offering a grotesque spin on family dynamics and small-town scheming. As a full moon production, it's exactly what fans expect. Cheap, trashy, and highly entertaining in its own way. Head of the Family is a reminder that horror doesn't always have to terrify. Sometimes it just needs to be outrageous enough to stick in your memory. Blood Dolls, 1999. Blood Dolls epitomizes late-period full moon, embracing camp, absurdity, and grotesque spectacle. A wealthy music producer creates miniature homicidal clones to punish those who wronged him, all while running a heavy metal band and maintaining a dungeon beneath his mansion. Narrative logic takes a back seat to deliberate eccentricity, with set pieces designed for shock, humor, and inventive visual absurdity. The dolls themselves, crude but unnerving, stalk their victims with meticulous, stiff movements that amplify their creepiness. Jack Maturin's performance elevates the material, delivering lines with operatic intensity that frames the chaos as dark, theatrical comedy. The captive musicians provide running commentary, a Greek chorus observing the madness. Violence is often suggested rather than explicit, maximizing suspense and impact within budget constraints. Blood Dolls unapologetically embraces its late-night cable identity, with erratic pacing and tonal shifts that feel chaotic, yet intentional. It found its audience among full moon devotees, cult completists, and irony watchers. A film that celebrates the very strangeness that defined the studio's identity in the 90s. If you love discovering forgotten horror and cult cinema, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the films time forgot. Thanks for watching, and remember, always be kind and rewind, because every movie is someone's favorite.